Welcome everybody to another essential keybind tutorial, this time for the A10 Warthog. And thank you, Eric, for your comment leading to today's video. Here you go. The first thing that you're going to want to set up is going to be your axis commands. You're going to want to set up your pitch, roll, rudder, your left and your right throttles. I use the X56. If you have a joystick that doesn't have a left and right throttle, you just assign your throttle to both. Your wheel brake left and wheel brake right. Again, if you do not have rudder pedals and you just need to assign a single button or switch to your wheel brakes, just use the single wheel brake. While we're here, you're also going to need to set up the axis for your HOTAS slew horizontal and vertical. That will allow you to move your cursors on the different MFDs or slew your seeker head. As a quality of life, I have two rotary switches on the base of my throttle that I use for the UHF volume control and the VHF FM volume control. These aren't a necessity, but they do help out when I have to turn up or down the volume controls on my radios. We are currently in active pause over the Caucasus in the A10. We are first going to talk about the throttle keybinds. On the base of the throttle, I have three toggle switches. They are for the master arm switch, arm, and safe. They are for your flaps up and down. They are for your gear up and down. Now we'll talk about the coolie switches. HOTAS coolie switch up, left, right, and down are extremely important switches in the A10. The coolie hat switches assign SOI for MFDs, HUD, and the helmet mounting queuing system. The coolie switches short, left and right, will also allow you to cycle pages on your MFDs. A long press on the coolie switch will allow you to assign a certain screen as the sensor of interest. In this case, my left screen, I have the TAD page up. I will press coolie hat left long and it will box out the TAD page, indicating that it is now the sensor of interest, or SOI. After one of your screens or your HUD is set to SOI, you can use the HOTAS slew horizontal and vertical axes to manipulate cursors in the case of the TAD, or in the case of Mavericks, it will allow you to slew the seeker head for the Maverick for targeting. Also on the side of the throttle, above the 4-position coolie hat switches, I have another 4-position switch used for the HOTAS CMS forward and HOTAS CMS aft. Pressing forward or aft on these switches will dispense either a chaff or flare. The right and left positions I have set as HOTAS speed brake switch aft and forward for extending and retracting the speed brakes. Also on the front of the throttle, I have two press buttons, each one I use for voice over IP comms. Also on the front of the throttle, I have the China hat switches. HOTAS China hat forward and aft. China hat forward long will slave all your sensors, including targeting pod, to the SPI, your sensor point of interest. China hat forward short will allow you to FOV toggle to zoom in and out of the targeting pod and Mavericks. On an on-off slider switch on the side of the throttle, HOTAS boat switch forward and HOTAS boat switch aft. On the HOTAS boat switch aft for this button 33 on the X56, when setting this keybind on the X56, you move the button 33 slider forward until it shows up as the key as joy_button 33, and then you change it to the off position. Now when you turn that button off, it will register as the boat switch aft. On the throttle, the little joystick that I use for slewing my horizontal and vertical axis, there is a push button on that joystick. I use that as a HOTAS boat switch center. The HOTAS boat switch forward, aft, and center allow you to change your targeting pod FLIR modes from white hot to black hot and then back to TV mode. On the top side of the throttle, I have a rotary switch that I use for the goggles gain up and goggles gain down for turning the brightness up and down on your NVGs. On the base of the throttle, I have 4 toggle switches. Toggle switch 1 is for CMS left and right. I decided to put them on the base of the throttle on the toggle switch and not with the CMS forward and aft because it was too awkward to move my hand down to manipulate that switch for extending and retracting my speed brake. The speed brake switch made a lot more sense where I put it, and I don't see myself using CMS right and left very often. CMS right and left will execute various programs when it comes to the chaff and flares. The toggle switch 2 I use for yaw trim left and right. You never know when you're going to need to trim out the yaw in the aircraft, especially with the 2-engine jet. Toggle switch 3, I don't have anything assigned. Toggle switch 4, HOTAS mic switch forward and down for the VHF and UHF call radio menus. The second to the last keybind that I have on my throttle, it's for the LAAP engage/disengage switch. That is for engaging and disengaging your autopilot. That is not a necessity, but it's a good quality of life keybind. The essential A10 stick keybinds. On the front of the X56 stick, there is a pinky button that is the HOTAS nose wheel steering button. That's for engaging and disengaging nose wheel steering. The outside paddle on the joystick I use for the air-to-air refueling, ready for pre-contact radio message call. That is a quality of life one that I've used in my other keybinds with the F16 and the F18. On the thumb rest of the joystick, there is a small joystick with the push button. The push button on that joystick I use for toggle goggles. That's to turn my NVGs on and off. On hat 1, I have trim hat nose down, up, left, and right. Those are self-explanatory. Those are for trimming out your aircraft. You use them a lot in the A10. On the side of the joystick on the top, there's a single push button I use for the HOTAS master mode control button. That is for changing master modes in the A10. On the castle switches on the stick, I have DMS forward, aft, left, and right. The data management switches are for various things, including zooming in and out your targeting pod. When your HUD is SOI, DMS forward and aft will cycle through your waypoints. Left and right will cycle through your weapons. On the POV button on the top of the stick for HOTAS, TMS forward, aft, left, and right. The target management system, by pressing TMS forward, it will allow you to target, in this case, on the Maverick page on my left MFD, it'll allow me to gain a target on the vehicle that I have in the crosshairs. And now for the 2 keybinds plus 1 secret keybind I haven't told you about, the weapons release and the gun trigger. On the pickle button at the top of the joystick, I have the weapons release. That's for rifling off Mavericks or dropping bombs. Chat, BTR. And now the gun trigger. The gun is arguably the most fun thing about the A10 Warthog and the reason why everybody wants to fly it. On the front of the joystick, the normal trigger is the gun trigger. The secret keybind that I have on a push button on the side of my throttle, it is the gun trigger first stage. The X56 does not have a 2-stage trigger. The gun trigger first stage will allow the A10 to enter a stabilization mode when you are about to fire the GAU-8A Avenger cannon.
Pull up. Altitude.
Eric, I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you also found it helpful out there, welcome in, and I hope you guys stick around for more DCS content. No aircraft were harmed in the making of this video, except all of them. If you enjoy the flight, hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next sortie.